writing about Vikings, writing about Old Norse poetry and sagas. From one point of view, it's just like writing about any other literature, the usual critical approaches that you take to literature from any time and place you can take to Viking literature. But I want to think a bit about how engaging with a literature and a culture that are 1,000 years old and geographically and culturally remote, how that foregrounds questions of language and how language might function as a sort of gateway to understanding questions of culture and history. I want to do that by thinking about Old Norse words for outlaw, of which I'm going to talk about 3 words for outlaw. The first one is the very obvious word, utlagi. Utlagi actually gives us the modern English word outlaw, which is borrowed from Old Norse. And utlagi literally just means one who is outside the law. But even this rather plain term is kind of interesting. It suggests that law is a physical space, a geographical entity, coterminous with civilization, and that some people are placed outside that. But our second word is kind of more interesting, I think, skogar mather. So mather in Old Norse means man or person, and skogur means forest, so forest man or person of the forest. And here the idea clearly being developed is that the outlaw is not just banished outside of the law, but is banished into waste places, into wilderness, and maybe living alongside creatures such as wild animals, perhaps even monsters, dangerous beings who are threatening civilization in the medieval imagination. And then this seems to be confirmed in our third and last term, vargur. Vargur in Old Norse can mean 2 things, which are clearly related. It can mean outlaw, and it can mean wolf. And clearly both wolf and outlaw are dangerous beings that are threatening civilized society. So how do you translate these 3 words? Utlagi, skogamather, vargur, do you translate them all as outlaw, or should you keep some sort of distinctiveness to the 3 terms? So as I say, questions of translation and language lead on to questions of culture and history. And also, as my final observation, lead on to questions of influence, because Old Norse vargur has received a new lease of life in modern culture through J.R.R. Tolkien's The Hobbit. Readers of The Hobbit will remember the wargs, these terrible, dangerous wolves that attack Bilbo. And Tolkien has taken this word warg, he's invented this word warg from Old Norse vargur. Tolkien's wargs are both wolves and somehow outlaws. They're dangerous allies of the goblins of the Misty Mountains. So, writing about Viking literature, foregrounding questions of language, raise all sorts of interesting issues about culture and the influence of that culture in modern literature. So let me recommend it to you.